Hello, BookTube. I'm going to try this again. We're doing this. I'm doing this on the Lenovo Yoga Book, but I've got more natural light now, so I'm wondering how much of a difference that will make. Just want to learn my parameters here and find out uh, what the camera looks like under relatively good conditions instead of filming essentially in the dark. I was curious about uploading these videos, and a few of you wrote to me and told me all sorts of simple ways I was, in fact, making things more difficult than I needed to. So I think I have that part solved. I think I can make a video on this machine and upload it straight to YouTube on this machine with no sending it anywhere else. We shall see. But in the meantime, I've got a little mail haul. I will do it just as a test run and see how this video goes. Uh, Starting with this one here, I'm really curious to know if this will work. Just straightforward work. That would be neat. uh, oh, great. Okay, the first one is the advanced copy of Winter by Ali Smith. Um, this comes out in January. Of course, the follow-up to her Autumn that was um, that should have won the Man Booker. But this is great. I don't know if lightning will strike twice. I had a multi-layered reaction to Autumn. At first, I didn't care for it at all. I thought it was kind of boring, and then I read it a second time and was really impressed. So, needless to say, we'll go into Winter with heightened sensitivity, but we'll see. Let's do this. Let's do this next one here. Wow, Ali Smith's Autumn, very good. Uh, oh, all right, okay. This is A Tokyo Romance by Ian Baruma, the new editor of the New York Review of Books. Uh, what does it mean to be an outsider in a foreign country? To be constantly exposed to a radically different culture? New York Review of Books recently named editor Ian Baruma has written several books about Asia, including God's Dust, A Japanese Mirror, and Behind the Mask. But he knew almost nothing about Japan when he arrived in Tokyo in 1975. Um, Tokyo, engaged in a radical transformation of its own, astonished him. He had landed in a feverish and surreal metropolis where nothing was understated and everything shouted for attention. Neon lights, crimson lanterns, Japanese pop, movie posters. The visual density of Tokyo was overwhelming. Much of the advertising was in the same intense hues as the azure skies of early autumn, is what he writes. Um, as he studied film, photography, theater, dance, and discovering guides in the Japanese artists and legendary filmmakers, as well as expat writers and directors living in the city, he found himself completely immersed, yet still on the sidelines. Okay, great. So this is a memoir about being adrift in Tokyo. It comes out in March, 2018. I have been to Tokyo many times. I have found it disorienting every one of those times, so I can wholeheartedly sympathize with such a book. Uh, let's see here. This is next one. Also kind of small. Okay, all right. This is a novel. I requested this. This is Good Neighbors by Joanne Sterling. That is what it looks like. Uh, and it sounded good to me. Let's see here. In an idyllic suburb, four young families quickly form a neighborhood clique. Their friendships based on little more than the ages of their children and a shared sense of camaraderie. When one of the couples, Paige and Jean Edwards, adopt a 4-year-old girl from Russia, the group's loyalty and morality is soon called into question. Are the Edwards unkind to their new daughter? Or is she a difficult child with hidden destructive tendencies? All children have hidden destructive tendencies. You don't have to be Russian to do that. As the seams of the group's friendship slowly unravel, neighbor Nicole Westerhoff finds herself drawn further into the life of the adopted girl, forcing Nicole to re-examine the deceptive nature of her own family ties and her complicity in the events unfolding around her. And this is the author. This is the author's debut book, I believe. Her fiction has been nominated for a Pushcart Prize and has appeared in New Ohio Review and North American Review. She is a graduate of Cornell and studied and taught fiction at the Writers' Studio in New York City. She lives outside of New York with her husband and children and is at work on her second novel. Okay, so this is her first novel, The Good Neighbors. Type of novel. I remember when I was reading the description of it before I requested it, I was thinking, but I wouldn't want to be her neighbor when this book comes out. Because you're automatically going to think, well, has she been studying us? Are we encoded in this book? Uh, it automatically makes me wonder if if I were to ask some of her friends, it, has she lived near a couple that adopted a Russian kid, and is that where the idea came from? I don't know. All right, we've got two more here, and then we'll see to the process of uploading this. See if it. A couple of you commented that the audio is a little watery, uh, and so is the visual. But the whole thing appears to be done on a weaker camera. I'd be willing to bet that's the case, considering this thing is as thin as a sheet of paper. Oh, great. Okay, I mentioned this. I mentioned this obliquely on this channel a little while ago, and now I get to mention it directly. This is by Matthew Restall, and this is when Montezuma met Cortez. The true story of the meeting that changed history. Uh, and the back cover copy is a dramatic rethinking of the encounter between Montezuma and Hernando Cortez that completely overturns what we knew about the Spanish conquest of the Americas. November 8th, 1519, the Spanish conquistador Hernando Cortez first met Montezuma, the Aztec emperor, at the entrance to the capital city of Tenochtitlan. This introduction, the prelude to the Spanish seizure of Mexico City and to European colonization of the mainland of the Americas, has long been the symbol of Cortez's bold and brilliant military genius. Montezuma, on the other hand, is remembered as a coward who gave away a vast empire and touched off a wave of colonial invasions across the hemisphere. But is this really what happened? And Matthew Restall goes into this, apparently goes into the subject in enormous depth. I can't wait to read this. I mentioned when I was talking about, I mentioned this obliquely because I was talking about William Prescott, a great Boston historian who researched this very subject for ages, under laborious circumstances. He didn't lead an easy life, and he did a huge amount of primary source research that had never been done before. No person had ever done it. He was constantly inveigling friends who were going anywhere near old libraries to hunt down manuscripts for him, make copies, maybe pay someone to make a fair copy and send it to him, paying copies himself. It was his book on the conquest of Mexico is an amazing work and also beautifully written. That makes me all the more curious to read something like this, where that very subject has gone over again, the very ground has gone over again. And then we've got the last one here for this little. It's still a Canary-in-a-Coal mine mail haul. I'm still trying to feel this out. I'll make another video today on the MacBook, so that you can see them sort of side by side. And I think the MacBook is going to win out until I get a phone. Okay, this is another novel, another thing I requested. Gun Love by Jennifer Clement with battling crocodiles on the cover. She won accolades for her poetic, imaginative portrayals of complex women in The Widow Basquiat and Prayers for the Stolen, which was a finalist for the Penn Faulkner Prize. And she returns with Gun Love, a gorgeous coming-of-age story and an incisive examination of America's love affair with guns. Gun Love takes us to Central Florida. Well, there you go. We've left reality. Where a 9-year-old Pearl lives with her mother in a 1994 Mercury Topaz parked in the Indian Waters trailer park next to the rural area's garbage dump. Pearl's mother is a young runaway who escaped the particular cruelties of her affluent, privileged upbringing to bring a new life to herself and her daughter. Despite their hardships, mother and daughter both adjusted to life, making friends with their neighbors in the trailer park and enjoying a deep connection with each other. All around them, Florida is populated with gun owners, those hunting alligators for sport, those who want to protect their families, and those who are dangerous. When Pearl's mother falls hard for Eli, a man with a passion for guns and a knack for finding trouble, a shocking moment of violence changes Pearl's life forever. Okay, so the author, Jennifer Clement, is the president of Penn International, the first woman ever to hold that position, and currently lives in Mexico City. And this book comes out in March. So I'm eager to see it. I'm eager to see what he can do. I don't think I've read this author before. I don't think I've read either one of those two other books. So that is our another test mail haul here. So we have a work of serious history when Montezuma met Cortez. Then we have some fiction, Gun Love by Jennifer Clement, The Good Neighbors by Joanna Serling, uh, and what was that other? Oh yes, Winter by Ali Smith, and then we have Tokyo Romance by Ian Baruma. The recently elevated Ian Baruma. So we've got a neat little all 2018, a neat little haul of interesting stuff here. I'm going to dig into these things, but first I'm going to try to just matter of factly upload this video and see if it works. So fingers crossed, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.